check, 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 check. Yeah, I think it's working. So I'm just gonna start talking, and as people show up to the live stream, you can just catch up by, I don't know, fast rewinding and then fast forwarding to what we're doing right now. I actually met somebody yesterday. A resident of SL had IM'd me and asked me to if I could come over and help her figure out a color change HUD by Bosch. She was having some problems, and I actually learned a lot of stuff yesterday myself. So I wanted to come back and make a tutorial on how to do this because I've actually never done it myself. I don't think in all of the years of making texture HUDs did I ever make one that just changes the color of a mesh item, um, aka tinting it. I don't think I've ever done that before, so I thought if she was having problems with this, there's probably somebody else having problems with this. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm just going to do this tutorial and then I'm going to go ahead and log off because I've promised a friend that I would go and talk to them tonight. So I'm not going to sit around and gab with you guys. I'm just going to do the toot, and then I'm going to log off. So let me go look at something right quick here so I can show you guys exactly what we've purchased. If you have the Bosch Ultimate HUD script system, you can do this as well, but you don't even have to pay for that big old huge thing, I believe. Let me find the one that she was using. If you hear people yelling, there's people like right outside my window. As soon as I flipped it on, they started talking, so they're leaving, sounds like. Alright, I think I'm not sure if this is the one that she had. Actually, let me find her IM real quick. I think she's online. Oh my gosh, now I'm gonna start coughing. Maybe she showed me in the note card. One sec. So, not prepared. One sec. Well, shit on a stick. I can't even find her question to me because that's great. Anyway, this one I think will work. I think there may be even a cheaper one than this. I'm looking on his, maybe it was this one. I remember it not being too terribly expensive. Could be this one, could be the other one. I'm not exactly even sure what the difference other than this is multicolor. This one is just mesh color and texture changer, so I'm going to assume this is the one that she got. Obviously, I've purchased it one too many times myself. So I'm just going to get into how this works. So again, the scripts that I'm using in this example is the Ultimate, but the one I just showed you, you can use that and it works exactly the same. The only difference is, I believe, the license script is it operates a little bit different, as mine will allow me to control anti-res, and it'll allow me to control the channel that I'm working on. If you purchase the other one, it doesn't have all that. There is a license code that will be dropped in here, but it doesn't give you the opportunity to change it doesn't give you these numbers, right? These numbers right here will not be present. Only this part will be present. So that's a difference, I guess. A few differences in the script. Everything else works the same. So what I went ahead and did is I was in Photoshop, and I can just give you a rundown of how I created this. I made a square box, 1024 by 1024, dropped a black texture that I use quite often. I made myself 6 color boxes there. And something I want to talk about that I never thought of even doing to my HUDs ever in a million years, but this person that I met with yesterday is slightly colorblind. So on her HUD, she had the colors written on top of the boxes, so it tells herself, obviously, what color she's dealing with. The colors that she used were your main primary colors, and she said that she could see those pretty well. But if you were to venture off into like the mint or fuchsia or like some other kind of shade off of the main primary colors, she wouldn't be able to differentiate that. So that's the reason why for this example, I went ahead and wrote the names of the colors on top of the swatches. I think that's super great, and honestly, I never ever in a million years thought to do that. I always, and it kind of even teaches me a lesson too, because the way I design people's texture HUDs, I always tell them to have little, as little as possible text on there, because it starts to get cluttered. And now I've kind of stopped and I thought, and I'm like, well, if you didn't have big, long, funky names for your colors, I guess you could probably find room to write the color name underneath or on top of the swatch if you wanted to cater to people that are colorblind. So that is just something for you to think about. Obviously, it's an option. It's not a have to, but I'm just explaining as to why I did that, because I have met several people in Second Life that are colorblind. They either have to use special glasses when they're looking at the computer, or they have some kind of a screen over their screen to be able to pull some of the colors out so they can see them. So, I mean, it is something definitely to think about for people that have that condition. So, anyway, that's how I built the HUD. This is the very horrible ambient occlusion that came with this item that I'm using. Um, she had another product from Crash. This is by Crash. It was not, I don't think it was the exact same one, but I went and purchased it for the fact that it is only one face. It is an all sides face, what they refer to as block mesh. It is just one piece. You don't have multiple faces. This is super, super simple, bare minimum tutorial, okay? Mesh is not complicated. HUD is not complicated. You could make a complicated HUD for this, but for this one, we're just going to use what I've designed here, okay? So starting from, I res the undies out and I res the, whatever this is called. I'm so flustered right now. I don't know why, the tank top, okay? So from here, whenever you first res your mesh, I am going to do this from the base. And, I don't know at what level someone is watching this tutorial. I'm assuming if you're starting here, you're pretty new, okay? So what you have to do in order to use these scripts is that you have to create a box. This is going to be called your root prim, and make it, small, pretty small, and maneuver it inside of your object like so. About like that, right? Okay. So now you're going to click on your mesh object and hold down shift, and you're going to click on your prim in the middle, okay? Just like that. So you always, in order for this to work, you always have to click on your mesh item first and then click on your root prim. Then you're going to come inside your edit window here and you're going to click link. So what you will notice from here is that your mesh has turned like blue aqua line color, and then your root prim is yellow. That lets you know that you have linked it together properly for what we need to happen. The reason why we did this for this particular piece, two reasons. It's the only way that this HUD system works. Even if the mesh is yours, you still have to connect a root prim to it. It must be at least, I think it has something to do, it has to be at least 2 prims in order for the communication of the HUD to work. Regardless, even if you bring in a piece of mesh that's 15 prims, you still have to connect your root prim to it. This is the only way that this will work, even if it is your own mesh. The other reason why we're doing this, aside from it has to work this way for this system, is this is how you make a mesh object and or object, sculpt the object, show up as you being the creator, you're the owner. Okay, so say you're not going to be scripting and you want your mesh to show you as being the creator, this is the trick on how to do so. From here, we can click Edit Linked Parts, click your little box in the middle, go to the texture, and then set your transparency to 100%. Okay, that hides it. Something people always tell me is that I talk too fast and then I go through these tutorials too fast, but I don't know how to slow down. So as you're watching this, if I'm going too fast, just pause, follow my direction, and then press play again because I don't know how to slow down. I am like Speedy freaking Gonzalez, okay? I don't know how to slow down. Okay, so I'm gonna just recreate this HUD for you guys. Gonna right click my ground here, maybe. Right click my ground and do create. You see my little magic wand shows up. I'm gonna click the ground and that makes a box. Makes the cube. I just showed you how I made the HUD quickly in Photoshop. So here is my example HUD that I've uploaded in World. I'm going to drag and drop the face on top, just like so. I'm going to click the ground again, and I'm going to press create again to make myself another box. I'm going to make it small, and I'm just going to lay it out over my, oh my god, what in the motherfuck is happening? What the fuck is that noise? Interesting. Sounded like a car slamming on its brakes. I don't know what that noise is. Oh, it might be a remote control car. Okay, I've basically taken this cube and covered the swatch. So now I'm going to hold down Shift, and with the blue arrow, I'm just going to drag it down and make a copy of it, covering the other swatch. Again, the reason why I'm doing it like this and like talking like this is because I'm assuming people that might be using this will be pretty new to creating HUDs. My only assumption of that is because I've never actually done this kind before. Okay, so I've got my two selected. I'm going to press Shift again and drag the green. I'm going to press Shift again. I'm going to drag the green. So basically what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to cover your swatches with prims. So now I'm going to select all of them by holding down Shift and just clicking. Click, Shift, click, 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 click. Yeah, looks good. They're a little off. I mean, if you're going to be totally anal about it, like I have to be on a practice HUD, you can move them as tight or as loose as you want them to be. Okay, everything looks good. I have them all selected, so I'm going to change the transparency to 100%. Okay, they went away. I am actually going to click them all again because they kind of need to be linked together. So highlight all of your swatches, and then you're going to press Shift and click your main piece back here. Has to be this way. So make sure you have all your swatches clicked first. The last thing you clicked is going to be, this is going to turn into your root prim. So you're going to click link there, and you will see that your swatches turned into a blue highlight and your HUD turned into a yellow. Same situation that we had here. Needs to be the same, right? Okay, so for the sake of tutorial, I'm going to just name it alter ego tank top HUD. Okay, and then over here I'm going to name this alter ego tank top. Alter ego is the name of one of my stores. That's why I'm using that. So you would place your name, comma, or however that you name your items, and then you would name your item. Just leave it just like that, okay? All right, so let's go find those scripts. All my Bosh scripts are just thrown into a pile of script hell, so I hope that you are much more organized than I am. So I've located my scripts right here. We're going to be using the license, the master, and the slave. Even if you do not have the ultimate V5, you still have these 3 scripts available at whatever version that you are using. Okay. So inside your HUD, think of it as I always tell people for SecondLife to think of this like it's BDSM. The HUD is the boss and your mesh is the slave. So the thing that is controlling your mesh items will always have the master script in it. So you're going to want to drop your license script into the contents just like that. And then you're going to want to drop your master into the contents just like that. Okay, everything's good right there. Same thing for your mesh, except for you're going to drop the license script in here, and it is the slave to your HUD, so you're going to be dropping in the slave script into your mesh. You will be so surprised at how many people I've talked to, and when I put it that way, they understand. When I say it any other way, they do not understand. So hopefully you catch that vibe right there, okay? So again, for my version of this HUD, I'm going to have some extra little numbers here. If you're using the more simplified version, you will only have a series of numbers that look like that. And it's just the license code number. It's how this system communicates with itself. These set of numbers for me will control the anti-res script inside of both objects and also the channel that I'm working on. And again, I don't know what the last one controls because I've never used it before. It always just stays 0 for me. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to change it because I'm not sure if it will run set to 0. I don't know if it will or not. Okay, so according to the notes on the Bosh HUD, and the Bosh notes. According to the notes inside the Bosh note, this is going to be referred to as a block mesh. So it's got all sides, right? There's only one face. All sides are the same face. So what it tells you to do on your HUD is a little bit different than how we would do it as if this had multiple textures. It's quite simple. So if you only have one face, you have to name your button as color, spelled just like that, a colon, spelled just like that, and you have to enter a 0, meaning one face, all sides, block mesh is grouped as 0 in the note card. That's what he tells you to do. In your description here, you need to put this code in, just like this. And you're going to have a series of 3 numbers in here. It's going to be controlled as RGB numbers. So if we click on, for instance, my floor here, and we go to texture, and we click on the actual color, I'm selected on white right here, as shows in your current color box. And as you can see right here, you will see the red, the green, the blue, aka RGB colors. Okay, so you've got your hue, saturation, and whatever luminance. I'm not sure what that stands for. You don't need these numbers. We're going to be just looking at these numbers right here. I wish I could highlight this, but these 3 numbers, 1, 2, 3, are the numbers we're going to be using to put into our buttons right here, okay? So as you can see, 255, 255, 255, that is what I need to drop in here. 255, 255, 255. Now, this would work if I clicked it, but the mesh is already set to white by default, set to white. So let's go ahead and make our green. We're going to set it up the same way. It has to be set up this way. When I went over to go see Princess yesterday, there were a couple of mistakes that she had made, and this was the reason why the HUD system was not working. We had a few errors, so you have to be really paying attention to how you're setting it up. If you were to type in color, I think this is a semicolon and 0, this is not going to work. It absolutely has to be that colon right there, the 2 dots. If you were to type this color and then 100, it is absolutely not going to work. It has to be set to 0 since you are working with one texture face. When it comes to what's inside the description, in this case, we're not working with actual UUIDs. I didn't change this texture in Photoshop and then upload. What I'm wanting this HUD to do is just change the color of the mesh. That's what we're doing. So it absolutely has to be this kind of code that gets dropped in. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to do the same thing here. Drop that code in. I'm just going to go pull a random green texture. May not be the same exact shade of this. This is just for example. So as you can see here, I clicked on this green, which will represent this color swatch for now. So we need to type in, oh, good, thank God, that just worked like that. We need to type in 0, 255, and 128. So as you can see, I'm pulling the numbers right here for this green, 0, 255 to 128. I'm sorry, 128. You're going to press OK. So right now, this should work when I click it. Oh my God, it didn't fucking work. What did I do wrong? Hang on a second. It worked a minute ago. Oh, duh. You need to name your mesh 0. So 0, just like that. As you can see, it turned green. See, even I fuck up sometimes. Yeah, so the title, it works, I guess, in the same way, because if we were using a texture, we would have called this texture, colon, if 0, you know, and then you could paste in the UUID. In this instance, we're just changing the color, so we name it color, colon, 0. And since your mesh is now edit link parts named 0, that's how it communicates with the HUD. I hope that makes sense. I hope me fucking up right there didn't just mess you guys up. I'm going to keep going just to show you again. Color, colon, 0, and then that little code. Let's open up the color. I'm just going to pick a random blue here. This looks close. So here is your RGB for this color blue. And I'm just going to type this in, 0, 128, 255. Press OK. Give this a tick, blue. Same, yellow, color, 0, and your code. And we can come in here to color. I'm just going to pick this one right here, 255, 255, 128. We're going to type this in here, 255, 255, 128. We can check it. There we go. Do the same for pink. Now, obviously, you can do this a little bit quicker than what I'm doing it right now, but again, I'm trying to keep it slow for the people that are new. Pink, even if I wanted to change this pink to more accurate, you can just move your color. It's about the color, right? So 251, 176, 200. 251, 176, 200. Okay. There we go. Last one, purple. Color. Pick a purple. It's probably a lot lighter, about A. So 181, 106, 255. 181, 106, 255. Okay, purple. All right, back to the editing program. Say for instance you wanted specific colors that were inside of your editing program, be it, she used something called paint.net. You can use GIMP, you can use Photoshop, I'm not sure what else is out there, but say you wanted a specific shade and you find that shade in your editing program, RGB colors are right here, same as Inworld. For this shade, it would be 126, 126, 255, and that is what you would put in here. 126, 126, 255. So see, it's just about this. It's the same color that we had in Photoshop. So that's how you would do that there. What else did I want to make note of? Okay, so something else that I always get asked as well is when people are taking my tutorials and they're using this script specifically or a Bosh script specifically, they once you confirm that all of your pieces are working, first of all, you need to change the permissions to no modify, no transfer. No modify, no transfer on your items. And once you have confirmed all buttons are working to the way that you need them to work, inside your HUD, you need to delete the license script, and inside your mesh, you need to delete the license script. Had you left those scripts in there, you would not have been able to transfer them to the next person, as that license script is no transfer. It is only to be used to actually do the scripting and the coding for the product, but it will stop you from being able to give this to the next person. So absolutely make sure that you do that. Let's see. I think that's like pretty much everything that I wanted to show you guys. For shits, I guess, like, I wonder, I'm just gonna try something because I wonder if it's like, that's the way this goes. Creating a prim here, attaching to, I'm gonna do this like pretty quick here. What if I change this to 1? And then what if I change these to 1? So I'm gonna click all of them, color, colon, 1. Nope, that's not gonna change it. So, oh, you idiot. There. So this is basing off of, it's not just basing off of this being block mesh and it being 0. Like, there was a part in Bosch's notes that I was confused about that. I was like, what happens if you had something that was you had like a top and you had a bottom, but you need them to be different, like controlled differently, right? So I didn't get a chance yesterday to finish reading up on that. That's how you would do it. You would change the number that you're using. This number is 0, then you would have a set of swatches that talk to 0, and then you would name this one like 1. You would have another set of swatches that only talk to 1, if that makes sense. The group. I was thinking surely that I'm reading this wrong, which it's really hard to understand Bosch's note card because he doesn't speak English, is not his first language, and he did his best to explain this in his notes, and it is very confusing. So that's good that I understand it this way, because it's the same way that it's the same setup for if you were using UUIDs. You need to call your mesh something by edit link parts, whether it's 80. If you called this 80, then you would change these to color 80, because you're telling color 80, just like that. God damn it. Why? There's nothing working the way I want. Motherfucker. Is it because when I change scripts and that shit? Like, You need to reset it. So if you just reset and you switch the numbers back and forth, like if I was to change this, I have to reset it, and then it'll change the. It's really kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. So in this case, if you were going to be releasing this top and these panties, you would need two sets of texture swatches. I mean color swatches. One that controls the top, one that controls the bottom. You would not, since it's completely different UV maps, in this case with this setup, you're not going to be able to change them both with one button. It's just not that advanced. That's why you would need the ultimate, because it'll allow you to change tinting. It'll allow you have that little like what you call it thingy. Let me see. I don't know what these things are called. What is this? These things. What are those things called? These, whatever this is, it'll let you do even more advanced stuff. So basically, the one that I bought, this one, has everything that he's ever created inside of it, built into one HUD. So you'd be able to do it this style, making your own swatches for your colors. You'd be able to use that tint HUD thing that we all know, the color gradient thing. You can use textures, you can do multiple faces, you have your anti-res, you have your channel switching. I mean, the one I have lets you literally do everything. However, there are some situations that I still get into and I'm like, shit, it's not that advanced because it was created quite a long time ago and he has not done an update in years. For instance, let's see. Look, the last date that I purchased this was 2016. It hasn't been updated since then. So it does have its limitations, but it does work very well with very simple mesh items and, even some complicated stuff. But there is still some meshes that come out and they've got a lot of fucking faces. And you want to change some faces with one button instead of making, 10 sections. You want one button to be able to change the straps. I don't know, a corset, a lace, just one button to change all of that stuff. And yeah, mesh can get very tricky and the HUD has to be able to control all of that. If you're somebody that is that advanced, I would probably recommend buying the Pixel HUD system. Pixel. Let me, one sec. Which I will be purchasing this soon because I want it. I just want to learn it. I thought it was more expensive than this, but maybe not. This would, whichever version does everything, resizing, tinting, retexturing, okay, that is the most expensive one. So yeah, that's the one I would buy. Because what would end up happening if I bought the lower versions, if they have lower version, I mean, come on, you're going to end up eventually getting here, so you might as well just take the plunge and buy it so you don't ever have to, like, buy a lower version, and then you get better, and then you buy the next version, then you buy the next version, and you're like, son of a bitch, I should have just bought the big kahuna, because it's all inclusive. You will notice that a lot of stores use this. A lot of stores. If you put on a mesh item and then you put on the HUD and then you see in local a bunch of text and stuff will pop up here and you have to wait a minute before you actually click on your HUD and start retexturing it, that's a pixel script. It does all kind of verifying, all kinds of shit, loading whenever you put the item on. I think Blueberry probably has it in her stuff. I feel like a lot of hair places use it because it's easy for a hair artist to script their products with it. I do believe it's like just a matter of switching out maybe faces UUIDs or something, but you can use the same HUD over and over and over again very easily. Furniture people use it a lot. I notice, like, if a piece of furniture comes with a HUD, you res it on the ground, then it does all that crazy shit in local, and then you can put the HUD on and then go ahead and texture. So that's how you know that that's the Pixel HUD system that does that. Okay, I am going to go ahead and just click off of this because I promised my friend I will go hang out for a little while and I want to go play Fortnite, but I hope somebody out there can use this tutorial. I wish I would have thought about doing this earlier because this was very simple and I know a lot of people starting off with Second Life will be using this. Everybody has to start off somewhere, so if this is the way that you're creating your clothes as beginner steps, I mean, you really are learning the foundation, and as you go along, you're just going to be building on top of this, and it's going to get more and more advanced. But at least you have the basics of how it works under your belt, since the rest of them under this system really do use the same like concept type things. You're just switching one word out for another, but it works basically the same way. So if you have to rewatch this video several times, even during my own hiccups, you know, you just you'll figure out where I messed up and then how to fix it. One other thing, if you ever click on your item, say you click on it and it makes the mesh black, completely black, that means that the texture is missing. So if you were to click on this, it would turn black if I deleted this. Okay, so you're going and you're clicking and you're verifying on your HUD and then all of a sudden your mesh turns black. You just need to go back to your HUD and figure out where you screwed up on the buttons. Even if this was being driven by UUIDs, if you're going, and then boop, purple makes the mesh turn black. Look at the button on purple and make sure you have the UUID or your color code in there. And if it's not going to be there if it turns it black. That's the only reason why it should turn black. Trying to think of something else, anything else that we ran into yesterday that was a problem. I think that's it. That's everything that I can think of. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, Dima. I saw you. I see you here, Stacy. Love you. See you later. Bye.